From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Kari Strandberg.
And I'm Avery Robb.
Today on the show, 100 years ago, Einstein formed a theory that has recently been proven. We'll meet a man who was a part of this revolutionary discovery.
Also, school pep bands can provide just the right energy a team needs. One trumpet player puts his heart into keeping spirits high on the sidelines. But first, the U.S. Coast Guard swung into action to save a fishing boat in distress just off the coast of Queens, New York. They got an urgent call that the 76-foot Carolina Queen was rocking in raging waters. The 5 Coast Guard members launched the rescue only to be defeated when their boat capsized in the 12-foot waves. The would-be rescuers swam safely to shore and came up with another idea. They decided to save them not by water, but by air. Rescuers were lowered by helicopter onto the Carolina Queen and brought the 7 fishermen to safety. There were no injuries. Free shipping is a little harder to get for Amazon's non-Prime shoppers. Like many web retailers, if you spend over a certain amount, you get free shipping. However, Amazon just raised their minimum amount from $35 to $49 for regular customers. That's a 40% increase. Amazon Prime members are not affected by this change. Science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM for short, have seen a steady decline in student interest over the years. A group of UND researchers is attempting to change that with an educational video game. Several researchers are collaborating on a physics-based video game called Project Neo. Its intent is to provide future teachers information on why seasons change and the confidence to teach their students those lessons. The teachers say students become less interested in STEM careers due to the misconception they would only be working in labs. The team also believes much of the lost interest is due to teachers not receiving enough training in science-related fields.
Collectively, this game and other games like it, we hope will get more kids interested in science. It will increase their science knowledge at earlier grades so that then when they get to middle school and high school, they can go even further.
Project Neo is expected to be done with the evaluation phase in August of this year. The team hopes the game will be in the hands of teachers as early as 2017.
Many horror movie stats won't make you jump, but this one may shock you. A recent study from the Leiden University Medical Center finds scary movies actually make the blood curdle. The report says that watching scary movies forces the body to release a protein called factor VIII. This protein increases blood clotting in the veins more than any other blood clotting protein. The report shows that watching a 90-minute scary film can increase the factor VIII levels by over 50%. On the other hand, watching a documentary can decrease levels by over 80%.
The land of the free is also known as the Great Melting Pot. We are a land of immigrants, but some groups have a harder time integrating into American society.
In downtown Grand Forks lies the 3rd Street Gallery. This cozy gallery is home to many unique sights, such as open art supplies, a welcoming table of snacks, and solid artwork from floor to ceiling.
What we're trying to do here is show that if you invest in people that are talented and doing things, you can participate and make that available to people who might not be able to afford it.
The most unique part about this art gallery is that anyone can draw on it.
With Sharpies scattered and canvases unguarded, artist Adam Kemp encourages visitors to partake in the piece's creation.
I remember when I was their age, I was always looking to draw on big pieces of work, and very rarely do you get the permission to do it.
The theme is New Americans, Old Americans, and You. This is a relatable topic for the Global Friends Coalition, a volunteer agency that helps refugees assimilate into the Grand Forks community.
The main thing we try to do is offer them smiles and a warm hand and encourage them to feel as though they're part of the community.
They do this by teaching the refugees how local institutions, including the bus system and the police department, function in the city.
And just give them advice and help them feel a little bit more at home.
As citizens of the city, there is one major task at hand.
See these folks who have come here from distant places, not just as refugees, but as mothers and fathers, children, grandparents, and learn from them.
For Studio One, I'm Jacob Noterman.
The Global Friends Coalition holds a number of events throughout the year. If you would like to learn more, please visit their website at gfcoalition.org. Kari, that's the news for now.
Thanks, Avery. Let's go now to Kaela Lucke for the weather news. Kaela?
Thanks, Kari. Here at the weather studio, we're taking a look at an interesting sport known as snowmobile softball. Now, this sport is played the same way as slow pitch softball. A few different rules are you can't start your snowmobile until that ball is hit, and you have to wear gloves and a jacket. While at times the action looks chaotic, players say that that's just a part of the game. As we head over to Toronto Zoo, we have a short clip of a cute giant panda named Demo who awoke to a snow-covered playground and decided to start tumbling in the snow. While this cute panda is having a great time in that snow might not be around for that much longer. Let's take a look at the upper Midwest, and as we can see, we have these areas of lighter colors, and that's associated with less snow. And of course, those darker colors are associated with more snow, and those darker colors are in the Rocky Mountains. Now, we all know that the higher you go up, the colder it gets. So the more precipitation that is going to fall is going to be falling in the form of snow. Another place that we're looking in is at the Great Lakes, and they are seeing more snow because that lake is actually warmer, and the warmer water brings in more clouds, and the more clouds you have, the more precipitation that is going to fall. As we take a look at the whole continental U.S., we see that last week about a third of the United States was covered in snow. However, I have some fabulous news. As we look at this week, we can see that most of that snow has disappeared, and that brings in, that is a great time to go out and enjoy the weather for the month. Now, one man knows firsthand the, what it takes to keep a community safe during a blustery storm.
Gregory Gust has seen his fair share of storms. He is the guy behind the warnings. During the winter, he is glued to his computer to predict when that next blizzard might come. But he's not too anxious to put out that warning.
But when you hit the B button, we call it, when you hit the blizzard button, you're going to start shutting things down.
It's his job to get the message out to the public, so he bases his warnings on confidence.
We may have a 30, 40, 50% confidence of something occurring. Well, that's a watch. 50%, 60%. As we start to get an 80% or higher confidence, we should be going to warning.
Once a blizzard warning is issued, the National Weather Service sends the information through a national digital forecast database.
So with that, we're going to have into that hazard for that blizzard, and that's going to be sent out. So it's available to our neighboring offices, to the broadcast media.
Once all that information is sent out, there is only one thing left to do, and that is...
You're waiting and waiting and waiting for the storm to come in.
When that storm finally does arrive, people like Greg are the ones who make sure that you stay safe.
Now, the National Weather Service also sends information out via social media, text messages, and emails. And this brings us to our weather question of the day. When does the meteorological spring start? Is that A, February 1st, B, March 1st, C, March 20th, or D, April 15th? Now, Kari, most of the meteorological seasons are always 90 days long and are based on annual temperature cycles.
Great, thanks, Kaela. Now let's head on over to Avery for the sports story of today's show. Avery?
Thanks, Kari. Like many colleges, the University of North Dakota is known for passionate fans, but one stands above them all, a man who has been in the bleachers since most were even born.
While players at this game are warming up, one man is also warming up to excite the crowd in a different way.
I've been playing a horn since I was in 4th grade, and I put it away for a few years to get educated.
By educated, Pat means that he spent 8 years in college to get his medical degree as a heart surgeon. But even with the stress of saving lives, he always found time for his favorite hobby.
Just, I'm retired, and it gives me an opportunity to do what I really enjoy best. That's music.
Oh, he's a great trumpet player, and I hope to be able to play trumpet as well as he does when I'm his age.
At 70 years old, Pat has seen everything from quadruple bypasses to national championships. But nothing compares to the respect he gets from his student counterparts.
Not only just by contributing his free time to playing in the group, but also setting the example of how to be a gentleman.
This resulted in the Doc Devig Award, which is given to the student who most portrays Doc's characteristics throughout the year. But even after 2 decades in the band, some concerts still had to be cut short.
There were some times when I couldn't finish up a concert. We had to go do some heart surgery.
Whether it's hours in a surgery room or as many as 31-hour bus rides, Pat still smiles through it all for the chance to play.
I'll probably play forever, until I draw my last breath.
With the players being the spark of the crowd, you can always count on Pat being the enduring flame. I'm Andrew McCarthy, reporting for Studio One.
Doc says his favorite piece to play is still the school song, and he still gets shivers when he hears it after all these years. That's the sports story for today's show, Kari. He seems like the perfect role model for all those around him.
I agree. His smile says it all. Thanks, Avery. For the past few weeks, gravitational waves has been the buzz phrase in the science community. Next on Studio One, we'll talk to a man who will explain why this is such a big deal.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
For me to go to college, it was a big step knowing that I'm pursuing a better future for myself. When you know that you have a small system there that you can still find comfort in, it really makes a difference. The support here and everything that they offer for us, the tutors, the free meals, the family, the friends, basically just somewhere for you to relax and be comfortable and find that home feeling again.
Okay, science meets imagination. Life changed by innovation. Through the future of our nation. Engineers the occupation. UND College of Engineering and Mines. Invest in your mind to stay with the times. Formulas, machines, and all that's in between. They teach it all from wall to help you succeed. Come on, it could be electrical, chemical, or civil. Our world-class staff will help you make it all official. Mechanical, petroleum, geology align at the
UND's College of Engineering and Mines.
Okay, become a leader, prove yourself among all your peers. Changing the world begins right here. You're not alone, but in the plan, we'll take your hand and help you stand with mentorship and advising. We'll do all we can. Okay, so if you want to join the party, simply calculate. The math adds up, so never think to hesitate. Education, leadership, and dreams combine at the UND College of Engineering and Mines.
I really love UND.
It's just exactly what I want to be doing, and with this program I get to do it.
It's very tailored to what your interests are and what your future goals are.
By the time I graduate, I'll have a stacked resume.
This grad program has been unbelievable. It has literally been a dream come true.
With more than 120 degree and certificate programs, the UND School of Graduate Studies is your path to success.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
A century has gone by since Einstein released his general theory of relativity. Now, scientists has proven him right. UND Professor of Physics and Astrophysics, Wayne Barkhouse, is here to tell us about ripples in space. Thanks for being on the show with us today, Wayne.
Thank you for having me.
We've been hearing a lot lately about gravitational waves. Why is that so important?
Well, it's really the beginning of a new era in astronomy and astrophysics. It's the first time that we've had a direct detection of a phenomenon that's been predicted for over 100 years now.
And so, why is this so important for these gravitational waves to happen after it was predicted for so long?
Number one, it means that the general theory of relativity is correct as far as we can tell today. All facts show that that's the case. The other thing is it gives us a new way to see things that are happening in our cosmos. Other than looking at light of different wavelengths, we now can detect gravitational waves and tell us something about the universe that we not been able to see before via the emission of light.
And you're a member of the Dark Energy Survey. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how your team was a part of it?
Right, so the Dark Energy Survey is a 5-year program to observe 5,000 square degrees of the southern sky. As part of that process, we happened to be on the telescope back in September of 2015 when the gravitational wave was first detected here on Earth. And so we are asked to look in the general area where the gravitational waves are coming from to see if we could see something new appearing in a certain region of the sky.
And so this is something that scientists wait for their whole life, right? How was that moment for you when you found out?
Well, it's fantastic. We've been waiting for 100 years for technology to evolve to the point that allows us to detect these very minute changes in space-time. And so it takes 100 years for that to occur, and we're finally there today.
And how difficult was it for all of you scientists to keep it a secret from the public before the press release?
Well, you never quite keep it a secret today in social media, so there are rumors that spread around on Facebook and Twitter, but you do the best you can to try to keep things quiet.
Okay, and so in a second here, we're going to have a picture up about the gravitational waves. Can you explain to us a little bit what it means?
Sure. So what happens when masses are moving around in space? We think of gravity now as being the curvature of space and time. That's what general theory of relativity tells us. So when masses are moving around like two black holes that are in orbit around each other, they're moving closer and closer together. And that change in the curvature of space generates waves that undulate and propagate through space. And by the time those waves reach here on Earth, they're very minute changes in the spatial dimensions from one place to another. For example, you can imagine the old joke of a spider doing push-ups against a mirror. If you look at space as a gravitational wave passes by, you see small changes in how space is both compressed and stretched in one dimension at the same time. And that essentially is what happens when these gravitational waves pass through any region of space. And it's only now, 100 years later, that we can develop the technology to detect those minute changes in the dimensions of space. And we're talking about changes on the order of a fraction of the size of a proton. And that's amazing when you think about it.
And so is there more than one way that a gravitational wave can be made?
Yeah, so there are many different ways. And what I find most intriguing is we know that gravitational waves should have been produced when the universe was first created. And in some sense, this gives us a handle or a window into the very earliest moments of creation of our universe. It's essentially that we're going to be listening to the birth pangs of the birth of cosmology and everything that we know that ever existed. And we should, in the years to come, be able to detect those type of gravitational waves.
And so scientists have been looking for these waves for years. Why is it now that they were just recently detected?
Yeah, so it's the advancement of technology. We knew they existed. Indirectly, we had evidence of it back in the 70s, and a team of astronomers and scientists won the Nobel Prize in Physics in the 1990s for indirect detection. But here today, we have a direct detection. So there are Nobel Prizes that will be awarded in the near future for this discovery. So people are getting ready to go to Sweden.
And so what doors will this open in the astronomy world for the future?
Right, so it opens the doors of being able to use something completely different now to understand the cosmos at large. Where did our universe come from? How was it formed? Where did the galaxies come from? Where did the planets and the stars all come from? And ultimately, where did life itself come from? How did it arise? It's all tied together. We're all intimately linked to the cosmos.
How do the waves affect space-time?
So what it does is it changes the size of space itself. If you looked at a small region of space, as the waves pass it through, they get compressed and squeezed in different directions. And it's that change in the direction or the spatial extent in these different directions that we can detect here on Earth with our devices such as the LIGO experiment, which was what produced the detection back in September.
Great. Thanks for being on the show with us today, Wayne.
Thank you very much.
Winter sports are a staple of northern communities. Coming up, we'll show you how one group keeps traditions alive in an unlikely setting.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
North Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Really admire the faculty. They're the ones that kind of helped push me through this.
Courses are hands-on and interactive. The communication program has so many different facets to it. One of the great things about the staff in the communication department is that they love what they do. They encourage you to really critically think and analyze everything you're learning. They're so into it, and it makes you want to be into it.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
If you would like to attend a live show, go to our website at studio1.und.edu.
Police corruption is a problem that happens throughout the world. Robbery, perjury, and physical abuse make up some of these corrupt activities. But a new action-packed thriller takes it to the next level. In the movie 999, a group of dirty cops and criminals are blackmailed by the Russian mob. The only way to get out of trouble is to perform a nearly impossible heist. Their plan consists of half the crew murdering a rookie cop, while the other half carries out the heist.
Something about this part that was very, very pure. It's a big ensemble movie with a bunch of people who are kind of all complicated and messed up, and in some cases corrupt.
The movie is named after the police code 999, which means officer down. When filming, real paramedics, SWAT officers, and police officers were used as extras. 999 is released in theaters Friday, February 26th with an R rating. NCAA stats show college sports across America have a combined income of almost $1 billion. That's led some to wonder whether college athletes should be compensated for their efforts. Despite the NCAA's highly publicized opposition, many universities have begun paying their athletes. We wanted to know your thoughts on whether this was the right move.
I feel if they're out there risking their bodies and significant injury, that they should be compensated in some way.
I think it's walking a fine line, because I don't know if it's necessarily the players that are, the athletes that are going to be a problem. It's going to be the coaches trying to bribe other players.
It's going to come. I mean, because all the bigger schools like Minnesota, they're all paying the college athletes now.
I feel that they should be compensated. They're playing the sport. They're putting our college on the map, so they should be able to be paid for what they're doing.
Most of them don't have time, to have work or have another job. They're just on the road all the time.
I just worry that what's next then sometimes, when we're paying these kids. But like I said, when Penn State's throwing 107,000 people for a football game, I can get the kids' argument.
A comment on Facebook from Tony in Long Island, New York. I love playing sports and watching them, but I definitely don't think college athletes need it as a source of income. It's a privilege for them to play. From James in Bloomington, Indiana, most sports are only allowed to practice for 20 hours a week, but most of us put in another 20 hours in the weight room or studying film. It would make our lives a lot easier if we all got paid, even just a little bit.
Icy parking lots can be a problem in the upper Midwest. We found a group of people that went out of their way to make things even icier.
Most days, this parking lot is filled with cars. Today, it's filled with ice.
Camaraderie, friends, people just come out, have a good time, have some dinner, have some cocktails. Everybody's just good sports out on the ice.
Tom and others like him gather here once a year to play this slippery sport. Tom says he fell in love with curling in his childhood.
I was a hockey player growing up. I was tired of just going to skate late at night, and you know, I picked this up as a midweek hobby.
Tom says curling can be a more intellectual sport than some realize.
You know, you got to think of a couple shots ahead, a couple shots. What happens if you miss this? What happens if you make it? I mean, it's a competitive sport.
Tom did make sure to note that even though curling can be competitive, that doesn't stop it from being fun.
Everybody gets along, you know, and there's no heckling and curling.
Tournament organizer Bob Bina says curling is an easy sport for beginners.
The good part about the sport is it's a sport that anybody can play.
Bina did warn that despite being easy to learn, curling can be difficult to master. He also added that it's a sport with a bit more class.
Fairly intense, but as soon as the game's done, everybody's shaking hands.
Whether it's this icy parking lot or an official curling rink, regulars say curling is a sport where everyone is welcome. This is Mike Rouser reporting for Studio One.
Curling was invented in Scotland in the 16th century and was mostly played on frozen marshes. Now there are over 160 curling clubs in the U.S. alone, and they're usually played on indoor rinks. Kari, it looks like an easy way to get outdoors in the winter.
Absolutely, it looks like a lot of fun as well. Thanks, Avery. Now Kaela joins us in our studio for the final look at the weather. Kaela?
Thanks, Kari. As we look at temperatures for the week, it's going to be pretty warm out there for that third straight week out west. However, in the Arrowhead of Minnesota, we'll be seeing cooler temperatures as a low pressure system is moving in there. As we look at precipitation for the week, out west is going to be staying dry, and for that second week in a row, the east is going to be seeing some rain. And that brings us to our weather question of the day. When does meteorological spring start? And that is actually B, March 1st. Now, most people associate spring with the start of, most people associate March 20th with the start of spring. And Kari, that is the start of spring, but that's actually the astronomical start of spring.
Wow, I can't believe spring starts next week already, especially after you're showing me all those things with snow. Thanks, Kaela.
Yeah.
And that's our show for today. As always, you can follow us through social media or get more information on our website.
From all of us at Studio One, have a great week.